We're not ones to judge a book by its cover, especially when it comes to cars. We're well aware that a finished product can often amount to more than the sum of its parts. Take the Volkswagen ID3 and the Audi Q4 e-tron, for example. Those two cars are ostensibly very similar, but in reality quite different. So take this, the new Kia EV6. It's a very similar car and it shares many of its parts with the Hyundai Ioniq 5, but it looks completely different. It's got a coupe-like appearance. It's much sleeker and much sportier. But what's it like to drive? What's it like to live with? We've got an entire morning with this late stage pre-production prototype to find out. So let's crack on.
Now, given this is only a prototype, the people at Kia UK are keen to stress that some parts might not be quite production ready, be that with regards to quality, tech, or the driving experience, but we'll do our best to cut through the smoke and mirrors on this occasion. With that small caveat out of the way, make sure you're subscribed to the Driving Electric YouTube channel and you hit the bell icon so you're notified when new videos go live.
It's a shame we haven't got an Ioniq 5 here today, because it's only really when you sit the two cars side by side that you can really appreciate the differences. This Kia though is instantly sportier, it's more aggressive, it's squatter, it's a more stylish alternative if you ask me. But now this car is representative of the UK's GT line spec, which means you get bigger wheels, slightly more aggressive styling, stuff like that. But no matter which one you go for, you get this stubby front end, this really long wheelbase, and this rising window line. It's quite a clever trick really, because it gives the illusion of a sloping lower roof line but without any effect on cabin space on the inside. And that is confirmed back here. I'm just over 6 foot tall and headroom is okay, but knee room and feet room is absolutely fantastic. This car's got a completely flat floor, so that means if you are sat in the middle seat here, you're not jostling for space with the people sitting either side of you. If there is one issue, it's the fact that this car comes with a dark headlining. It is big back here, but it sometimes doesn't feel it. It sometimes feels a little bit claustrophobic. It wasn't a problem that we had on the Hyundai Ioniq 5 recently, because that car had a white interior, and it would be improved, admittedly, if you fitted a panoramic sunroof.
Another area where the EV6 doesn't feel quite as roomy is the boot. Kia claims between 480 and 490 litres depending on spec, which falls shy of the Hyundai's 527 litre load bay. That's measured up to the parcel shelf. The Kia's sloping rear window restricts things further. But don't think for a second that this is anything other than a very practical family car. There's space under the floor for the cables, and if you fold the seats flat, you get a big, wide open 1300 litre space that should more than suffice if you're looking to carry longer or larger items. There's also a space in the nose of the EV6 which differs in size depending on whether you go for one of the rear-wheel drive or one of the all-wheel drive versions.
And the dark theme continues in here. We've seen some pretty high-tech, wacky interiors in EVs of late. I'm thinking Tesla Model 3, Mustang Mach-E, even VW's ID models offer a kind of futuristic, minimalistic look. But looking at this, Kia just seems to have played it safe. It's quite a conventional layout. Now, if you look at the interior as a whole, you've got this curved touchscreen and some big digital dials behind the steering wheel. The menus, they're all easy to navigate. The graphics are super sharp. It just feels familiar.
The EV6 will be available in 3 standard specs from launch: Air, GT Line and GT Line S, with prices from just over £40,000. Every model gets the twin 12.3-inch screens with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, vegan leather seats and dual-zone climate control. On the outside there's at least 19-inch wheels, LED lights and all-round parking sensors with a reversing camera. Climbing the range adds things like a better stereo, bigger wheels, a powered tailgate and 360-degree cameras.
Quality is actually very good even in this late-stage prototype model, but the one thing we're not sold on is this touch-sensitive panel down here. It actually operates both the climate control and the media controls, and it's just not that intuitive to use. It's even more fiddly than VW's touchy, slidey climate controls, and that's saying something.
One thing that shouldn't prove too fiddly is charging. The EV6 gets the latest 800-volt electrical architecture, which means it'll mix it with the big boys when it comes to rapid top-up times. Capable of rates of up to 250 kilowatts, Kia claims a 10 to 80% recharge in less than 20 minutes. If you prefer to charge at home, as many EV6 buyers will, a full top-up via a 7 kilowatt wall box will take 12.5 hours, though remember it's unlikely you'll ever be plugging in from empty, so a full charge should be achievable overnight. Another clever, slightly novelty thing that comes as standard on all but the base level EV6 is its vehicle-to-load technology. It means that using a simple adapter, you can plug in absolutely anything with a 3-pin plug straight into the car. Kia says it'll power your home in emergencies or indeed charge another electric car, but the likelihood is you'll use it once to charge your phone or laptop before forgetting the functionality is even there.
Total range from the 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery stands at 328 miles for the rear-wheel drive model, or 314 miles for the four-wheel drive model that we've got here. Now, we haven't been driving particularly sympathetically, and we've been doing 2.93 miles per kilowatt-hour, which equates to a range of roughly 220 to 230 miles, which means if you don't make full use of the 321 brake horsepower under your right foot, 260, 270 miles should be possible. Now, we've been warned that this late-stage prototype model might not drive quite as intended, but if the final car drives anything like this, I don't reckon the engineers have got much to worry about at all. Performance is certainly swift. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes 5.2 seconds, and there's that punchy instant acceleration for overtaking at pretty much any speed, and there's even a near 600 horsepower GT model on the way next year. It's definitely not as comfortable as an Ioniq 5, but I guess that was inevitable from the outset. The Kia is designed to be the sportier, the more dynamic car, and the Ioniq 5 is the more comfortable one. There's a definite harshness to the ride, but it's controlled rather than particularly brittle. It doesn't send shocks through to the cabin. It's a pretty decent compromise, really. There are different drive modes: eco, normal and sport, as well as a snow mode. Not that we're going to be using that one today, which just cycle through all the usual parameters. We've actually found that normal probably represents the best kind of mix, the best blend of performance, handling, efficiency, that kind of stuff. Whichever one you go for though, the EV6 does still feel like a heavy car. I guess it's still hard to disguise the weight of those batteries and the electric motor. But I think even at this stage, it's safe to say that if you're a keen driver, the EV6 could be a pretty good fit. The regenerative brakes are really simple to use and pretty effective as well. It's a similar system to the one we've seen in the Kia e-Niro and the Hyundai Kona Electric, and it operated via these steering wheel paddles. If you hold down the left paddle, it'll actually bring the car to a complete stop, a little bit like using a foot brake with your hand. One area that Kia could look to make some improvements is with regards to refinement. It's perhaps not quite as quiet over rough surfaces as you might want it to be, but again, some of that could be down to the fact this is still a late stage prototype, because around town it's as quiet as you'd want it to be. The Kia EV6, even in prototype guise, feels like a really well-resolved car. It's a more driver-oriented proposition than a Hyundai Ioniq 5, and for that you will have to sacrifice a degree of comfort and refinement. But, dare I say it, and I don't say this lightly, it feels like the second generation of EVs is nearly here. This is a practical family car that offers a strong range and even stronger charging. And all of that allows this car to compete with models costing really quite a bit more.
Head to DrivingElectric.com for all the latest electric and hybrid car advice, news and reviews, and check us out on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Finally, while you're here, make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and turn on notifications to ensure you never miss a video.